Peace, and Black African Power. I'm gonna play this song real quick by Abufani, and then we'll get started with the broadcast. Hold on, up here. Y'all give me 1 second. All right, we live. Let me click here. All right, now like I said, I'm gonna play this song by. I wonder why it's freezing up over here. Give me 1 second. I can see it on the YouTube end. Oh man, I'm having some tech. Yeah, give me 1 second, y'all. I'm having some technical difficulty on my end. Hold on, brands. Okay. All right. I hadn't used this in a while. All right, again, like I said, peace and Black African Power. Welcome back to Kofi Piesie Research Team with Kofi Piesie Research. Again, I'll play this song by Abufini, and then we'll get into the interview.
It's over. Yeah. Over 50, man. You know it. It's so. Shout out to United First. Yeah. Hey. Hey. Cognitive dissonance, colonized indigenous minds, bodies, innocence, European participants, Jesus no deliverance, rebellion with militants, culturally different, rape, murder incidents, justice no equivalence, lyrical abolitionists, ancestral reverence, soul music the resonance, mind sharp like elephants, melanin glow, elegance, imperial pestilence, governmental negligence, miracle black excellence, manipulate the elements, formulate with eloquence, bars of social relevance, United Snakes decadence, African-centered preference, my people set the precedence, MCE the delegates, go and check the references, get it out the sediment, evaporate impediments, this that shit excrement, our story indefinite, saying cover by increments, body temple instrument, tuned into the infinite, over.
All right, that was our good brother Obafini. I should be interviewing him on the 4th of December, if I'm correct. But like I said again, welcome back to Out the Perspective with Kofi Piesie. Please like and share the show, family. Please like and share the show. Before we get started today, I want to plug a few of our publications and plug the sister publications before we actually get started today. If you don't have Spearmasters, a historical survey in the minds of African warrior scholars, volume 4. This is our latest edition that we put out, I think about 2 months ago. Please go to our publishing company website, Same Tree Different Branch Publishing, to get your volume 4. Also, if you don't have Sean's What SARS-CoV Taught Me, please go get it. It is also available on Same Tree Different Branch Publishing it. If you're interested in learning about the COVID-19, please, this is a great book. If you want to learn about viruses, you want to learn about the immune system, etc., this is a nice collection. Also, go get my book, Beautiful Lessons About Kimoyo. If you want to understand the different elements that make up the customs and traditions of Africa, whether it's east, west, south, north, or central, this is the book about you. If you want to learn about rites of passages, we have it in here. You want to learn the importance of what sacrifice really is, it is in here. If you want to learn about language, it is in here. You want to learn about so many different elements that makes up African customs and traditions. They are in here. Also, if you don't have Spearmasters coloring book, this is a learning coloring book that we just put out up on our Spearmasters Institution. It's also available on our publishing company, Same Tree Different Branch. Appreciate those who've been buying these coloring books in bulk. Appreciate it. Also, before we get started, I want to plug our guest book. She has Njinga of Ndongo and Matanba, This is one of her children books here. She also has a coloring book that is available. Also, I don't have that one yet. And she has here, which we're going to talk about that one, and we're going to talk about Ada of Benin Kingdom, the coloring book and activity book. Man, I like what she's got going on inside of this book. She also has the children book also available as well. But we're going to be talking about those two as well. First, I want to say ETM Hotep, Dua Aku, Dua Netra, Fatmu Alafi, Fatme Riri, Fatmu Iwa Pele, Majuba Iba Ie Gungun, Majuba Iba Ie Gungun, Majuba Iba Ie Lakba, Majuba Iba Ie Lakba. I always want to give honor and praises to the ancestors because without the ancestors, we wouldn't be here. We are our ancestors. I also want to stand honor and praises to the true and living elders according to an African perspective and from an African world view, because over here, just because you are older than we are does not make you an elder if you don't meet those qualifications according to an African perspective or African world view. So we got our sister. I'm gonna make sure if I got it right. And I Q we if I said it wrong, then I said it wrong. I'm sorry, but sister, could you please introduce yourself briefly, and for those that out there that may not know who you are or what you got going on. I'm sorry too for mispronouncing your name.
It's fine. It's all right. Hi, Kofi. Thank you so much for having me. It's truly an honor. My name is Ekiuwa Aire, and I'm just going to briefly introduce myself. I'm an author, author publisher, and I have a publishing company that's focused on creating children's books and accompanying educational resources on African history and culture for kids.
Okay. All right. So again, y'all, please like and share the show. Please like and share the show. I normally have the goals and mandates pulled up for um the new Independent African Academy, but I don't have those pulled up today. I may read them before we get out of here. But before we get started, Sean already corrected me in the in the chat about your name. I told her I was sorry, but he broke it down, so I'm gonna look at that so I can get it right. But you still kind of got it wrong too, Sean. But yeah. Name. I want. Can you name a few of your favorite authors? What are some of your favorite authors?
My favorite, I love Maya Angelou. I've always loved her. I love her writing. I love her poetry. She kept me company when I was younger. Her books kept me company when I was younger. And another author that I love, she's also an independent publisher. And I met her during my author journey or my self-publishing journey. Her name is Ellen Diney, and she's focused on folktales, African folktales, and she has a passion for writing children's books about African folktales. I love her as well. She has a book titled Giraffe's Eggs, and she has a new book out. I don't remember the name right now, and I think it's about cake, another folktale. It's a great book, and she's a great author.
Okay, where can we find her publications at? Is they online? Does she sell them directly?
Yeah, Giraffe's Eggs is on Amazon, and her new book, she published it with a publishing firm called Kunda Kids, and I think she would like people to purchase it from that publishing firm.
Okay, so okay, because I'm just asking because we created like I said, I'm always trying to brand stuff. Patronize the author directly. And that's something that we try to stress on here too. Like I was, explaining to you earlier. I know it sounds good to have your publications on Amazon and Target and Barnes and Noble and Ingram and other different marketplaces. Is okay, but we always try to encourage the listening audience and even people around me to patronize the author directly. We want the author to get as much money as possible for their intellectual property. And we know with these other marketplaces, the splits is kind of terrible. They kind of 60-45, 60-40 split,
Yeah.
65-35. So those splits are terrible. So, you work hard, what I'm saying, of putting these publications together. So I just always try to get people to patronize their author directly. So, but if she wants us to purchase them off for that publishing company, we definitely will. I'll get the information from you later, because I definitely want to support her as well. So what are so what are some of your you currently reading, or some of your favorite teachers?
There is an Instagram page called Odunife History. She's pretty good. Her name is Tamara Olayinka Adu. She is
Mhm.
so passionate about African history and culture. She's constantly reading. She's constantly sharing what she reads. I love her page. I learn a lot from her. I'm currently reading The Destruction of Black Civilization. Um, that book was recommended to me. I think she was one of the people that recommended that book to me. Um, she's one of my. She also has a children's book as well called Osasu and the Benin Wall. So she's a great teacher and she is an inspiration.
Okay. We never did finish destruction of black civilization. But we have on this, I think it's on this, it's just on this channel right here. We got halfway through the book and something happened where we wasn't able to finish it. But I mean, that's something that you if you interested in also going back and looking in the archives, we kind of break down each chapter in that
Oh, that would
in
be
that book.
awesome. I
Hmm.
haven't finished it either. So
Hmm.
that would be easier for me to read a chapter, watch your video, read a chapter, learn together. I
Hmm.
would love to do that. Thanks for letting me know.
Okay, okay. Um, Give me 1 second. Let me I'm trying to Lee. I'll get back to that later on. All right. So what and I'm not gonna even try to, I'm gonna try it one more time. What does I can't pronounce it. Please.
Ekiuwa.
So yeah. So AQY Aire, that's how you pronounce
I
it? I okay, okay.
yeah.
Meaning. So what does that mean? And before that is with your name. Is your name written like that, or does it have different diacritic marks? Because I see how you're pronouncing it, and I know with different diacritic marks, the e may sounds like a ah, or so. But it is originally written like that.
I'm just gonna shout out to Sote Akande in the audience. You got it right. Yes. Ini Harris Kafani. Yeah, you got it right as well.
Yeah.
That's my name is pronounced. And no, I don't think, to my knowledge, it doesn't have any. The letters don't have any accents on
Okay.
them.
Okay. And
Yeah.
those two brothers you just shout out, those are two of the brothers who also in the group with me, Kofi Piesie research team and the Masi Warrior Clan. I'm also a member of the Masi Warrior Clan. So those are two of my brothers that's in the chat. Yeah, Sean always be trying to get on me about, me mispronouncing things. Like I said, I got this thick
No, I'm the
country
most
accent.
forgiving person because I can't even pronounce, like, even my last name is my husband's last name, and I get
Yeah,
it wrong sometimes as well. So
yeah.
I forgive you. I'm okay.
Okay.
My name Ekiuwa means market of wealth. So Eki is market, and
Mhm.
Uwa in my language is wealth, and so Ekiuwa is market of wealth. And that's the language is Edo language, Benin Edo language in Nigeria. The last name is Edo as well, but it is from the Ishan tribe.
Okay. So were you born and raised in Nigeria and then later migrated as you got older into Canada? Has she froze up? She done froze up, y'all. She should be back in a minute. Her screen is froze. Yeah, you back now. You froze
I'm
up for a
sorry
second.
about that.
You
Yes,
you
I'm not sure
you
where.
fine. You fine.
Yeah.
I was asking, were you born and raised in Nigeria, and then as you got older, you migrated into Canada?
Yes. I came to
Okay.
Canada, I think, when I was 25. So I was in Nigeria for most of my childhood and even adulthood.
Okay. All right. All right. Um, and I like the name. I love the name, the meaning behind the name, and I always most of the people that I bring on, they have, meanings behind their names. So I always ask people to explain their names, because also within African culture and traditions, it's the names are very important. I talk about that also in my beautiful lessons about Kimoyo book. I talk about one of the rites of passage is dealing with naming. Talk about the naming ceremony, and I know in certain cultures the women are named first. Sometimes it's a particular, the woman is named 9 days after her birth, the boy is named 7 days. So, but it just varies in different cultures. So I just always ask people that, because I want people to know, we got to start naming our people that actually has some type of meaning, that and something that can, that they can take and deal with in life. Like I'm saying, like most of the times with your name, I can see that with your name you're actually exemplifying the things within your name. So we need to try to do the same things. A lot of those things we have, in African culture, some have multiple names. They receive a name and then they get multiple names afterwards. But a
Mhm.
lot of times those names are attached to their destiny and so forth. So I just always ask people that, because I want people to know how important it is, to name your children, and for the name to have some type of meaning and something, that they can actually take the name with them into their life and create something. Um,
I
so,
completely agree.
huh?
I completely agree. The
Mhm.
names are so important in African culture.
Right, right. Um, so, um, like I said, I always, with these shows, I always try to make it a learning lesson as well. I make it about the author because we want to highlight the author and the things that the author have, and to for people that may not be familiar with you over here on my platform, to be to get familiar with you and to support each author. But I also try to make it a learning lesson for the people in the chats as well. Like I said, because we're definitely trying to encourage more people that look like us to write books, because it's very important for us to tell our story from our own perspective. So can you walk us through, or can you explain your process when you are writing a book? But first, before you start with your process, because I want to ask, how long have you been writing? And then after you tell how long you've been writing, then you can kind of walk us through your process when you're preparing to write your children books.
Okay, I'll start with what got me into writing. I didn't actually set out to become a writer. I was just being a mom, and I was introducing my children to a love of their heritage and culture. And I was looking for books that would introduce my kids to African history, African legends, African culture in a way that I saw African history, because I see Africa as the cradle of civilization. And I love where I come from. And I was looking for books that shared the love of Africa and African history with my kids. And this was 4 or 5 years ago. And I couldn't find anything that did what I wanted. I couldn't find any books that did what I wanted. And so I set out to fix what I thought was a problem. I set out to write my first book, Idia of the Benin Kingdom, and I wrote that one on my someone from my tribe, someone from my country, because that was being my first children's book. I wanted to write on something that was closer to home. I wanted to be able to lean on my parents to verify some of the information that I'll be sharing in the book. And what I did for that book and what I do for follow-up books is that I first gather as much information about the character as I can. I want to know what their timeline is. I build a timeline on the person that I'm writing about. No, I think the first thing that I do is I look at the character, because with African history, there's a lot that happened then that isn't acceptable now, or there's a lot that happened then that may not sell too well right now. So I look at the character, and if I believe in what the person did, or if I think that this would translate well to today's kids, then I look at their timeline. I look at what is available online from their birth all the way to when they passed away. What did they stand for? What is it about this character that we can share with kids of today that would make this character relatable to them? And then I write a very simple story about these characters. I don't want to give them too much information because I don't want these books to overwhelm today's kids. Then I find an illustrator, someone that I think would be able to translate my vision for the book into great illustrations. And then we illustrate, then we edit, and from there from there that's it. And I try to keep the story in my books as simple as possible, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to introduce kids to 2+2. That's what I say. My books are 2+2. So that if I can introduce my kids to 2+2, eventually when they're 14, 15, they can get into the advanced calculus of African history. They can reach out to people like you and look for books like yours that go more in depth. So my stories are really, really simple. And I put some information in the fact pages at the back of each of my books to give older kids some more knowledge about these characters, that though this story was simple, this person was real. And this is some other cool stuff about this person that you would like to know. And then I work on an activity book for each of the books. And the activity books go into the culture, just making it more fun for kids to relate with African history in a way that isn't so, this is who this person is, this is when they lived. It's less fact-based and it's more engaging. And that's my process.
Oh man, and like I said, with the book, especially the coloring book, like the ideal that you got, like you just gave me some more ideals as I looked in yours. Like I said, we just put out that coloring book, and but I like how your coloring book is put together. And before we talk about the book, and you just explained and walked us through your process, and and how you actually started writing. You say you started out with your kids. Um, the illustration. Let's talk about that real quick before we get into the books.
Yeah.
Um, the because I try to give two sides, like most of the time, but we're most okay with that. With the illustration part is, what was that step? What was that step? What was that like? If I was to put out a book, like we didn't learn how to actually create these things and make the sketches, but somebody that does not have a publishing company, have all these different softwares to do certain things, what actually would they have to do in order to get someone actually to bring your vision to life? Because that's actually what they did, was took the story that you created and bring it to light through illustration. So what process or what step would they have to do? Because whoever did that, they did a marvelous job, man.
They do. And with what I do, I try to find. So what I do is, after I've written the story, like a very simple story, and then break out the story into pages, I say this is page 1. For this page, we want to see the character sleeping on the mat on the floor. And this is page 2. We want to see the character walking through the forest with her friend. And I do that for all of the pages. And then when that is done, I know for each book what my favorite page is going to be. And I typically go to websites like Upwork and Freelancer to find an illustrator. And then I create a gig on there and I say, I'm looking for an illustrator. and I put in my favorite page. So this is what the characters are going to be doing on this page. I want you to illustrate this page for me. And I have like maybe 10 illustrators apply for the job. And I pay all of them like a stipend for a sample page. And then I go with the one that gives me the best illustration. But in also doing that, because my books, there's a lot of back and forth. It's history. It's not just your imagination. It's history. It's a culture. You cannot disrespect people. You cannot draw somebody else's type of clothing on another tribe if you have to get it right. So I need to get someone that's very, very patient. And so when I'm interviewing an illustrator, I typically try to deliberately make a lot of changes to see how they would react to lots of back and forth and lots of changes and how patient they are, because I need to work with someone that's patient. The worst thing you want to do is be done with a book. You've published a book, it's on Amazon, and someone comes and tells you that it's wrong and you can't go and change it. It's been published already. So you want to make sure that you get it right. So I try to be very patient with the illustrations and with the books and with that whole process.
Oh man, that's good. So y'all heard what she said. I'm gonna ask you, did you did you ever try Fever? Did you ever Fever? It's a freelance.
Fiverr. Yeah, Fiverr is good.
Yeah.
I haven't tried Fiverr because Fiverr, I maybe I don't know how to use it, but with Fiverr, it's kind of like you buy something and then they give it to you. There's not that much back and forth. With Fiverr, they want to be done quickly. So I would use Fiverr for if I'm looking for some help with creating an ebook version of my book or a version of my book that something that has a fixed start and end. But with Upwork, I'm looking for people that I'm developing a relationship with, but there's a lot of back and forth. It's more long term. So if it's a more long term type of project, I would use Upwork. But Fiverr, if I'm looking for like Amazon keywords or Google search keywords, I will go to Fiverr. It's a quick and easy job, and Fiverr is a good resource for that kind of thing.
Yeah, I just asked because we used it in the past. When we first started, we used that freelance company with editing, and actually the original logo right here for Kofi Piesie research team it's actually was, I can't remember the sister name, but she's from Sean in the chat. Sean, the sister, one, she's from Nigeria too, so we used the sister. I think she was from Nigeria. She was from Nigeria, so she did the logo for us, and she did some editing for us for our first couple of books until we was able to transition and able to do it ourselves once we was able to create a publishing company. But I like, and I hope people listen to what you said, and I'm gonna have to get that thing, the other freelance site that you were saying with the back and forth, how, and I like you said that you was able to take what you got and you wrote down. So this is something that y'all can think about doing as well if you didn't know. And she said that as she wrote, created the story on each page, she wrote down what the image would be on this page, where the someone was laying down, or someone was at war, whatever the case may be. She wrote those down, and then she submitted it to numerous individuals, and then she paid for just a proof copy and went with the best one. That's a smart way to go. So for those who may be interested in maybe creating your own children book, now you know some of the methods and the steps to go through to create your own children book or book in general. So you have, so we know you have 2 children books and 2 coloring books. As I stated, I showed 2 of the books earlier. Before we get into them, I'll show them again. I don't have my other cameras plugged up. I could go to so this is Njinga of Ndongo and Matanba. This is a children's book, and like I said, man, the illustration and the inside, man, is good. And then I'm thinking it's gonna be a paperback. This actually a hardback copy. And before we even get in there, like I said, I want to continue to try to make this a learning thing too. So but I want to talk about, okay, this, and then she has the coloring book, and she also have the children book for this, and then she has the coloring book for the Njinga book as well. So, and like I said, they are nicely illustrated, and the inside book is very well put together. And she has a hardback copy. So, and it shocked me when I got the book, and I keep saying the hardback copy, and it looks very good, and the illustration. So and I was thinking a paperback book. Like, and the reason why I was thinking a paperback book is because of, and just me looking at it, it tells me right away that you put a lot of money into this. And what I'm saying, you put a lot of money into this, is shocked at the price that you have your book set at. Because I don't know exactly what company that you went through to actually get your book published, and who did the book cover, and the process, the steps that you go through to get it published on this place. Most of the marketplaces, because we didn't use quite a few of them, and I'm familiar with a lot of them now because we have the publishing company, and we publish whoever we publish, we get them on lots of marketplaces. So in most of them, when you deal with the paperback books are generally more cheaper, or the ebook is cheaper than anything. But the paperback, if you're trying to have a physical copy, most people go with the paperback because the hardback copy is a little bit more expensive, and the color is a little bit more expensive. I'm saying, so I'm shocked. I was shocked, and then I'm shocked that the price. You have a nice price set for those books, and with the amount of money that I know you put in with the coloring, with the illustration, and then with the hard copy, book, man. So I just wanted to throw that out there, because like I'm saying, I'm trying to continue to make it a learning thing, so people can have a variety of what you pick. So I know you spent quite a penny for actually putting the book together. So was it a strategic move far as the look and the pricing of your coloring book?
The coloring book or the hardcover books?
With the hardcover books, but yeah, the hardcover books.
Okay, so for the hardcover books, I think it was a mixture of strategy and just personal preference, and just my personality. It wasn't so, I wish I could say it was a very smart business decision that I made and I knew exactly what I was doing. It was just, I love my culture. I love African history, and I wanted to give the history and culture its due respect in the products that I was creating regarding that. And so I wasn't going to, in my opinion, create something that I wouldn't buy for myself, or that I wouldn't create for myself for these books that I was creating. And then the pricing, I think with the pricing, I wanted to make it available, because I don't want these books to not be, I don't want to scare anyone away. So there's no point in spending all of this time and effort in creating these books, and they're not the same price as the competition. Hardcovers in the United States are $17.99. That's the price of hardcovers. And so that was the way I priced my books, $17.99 initially. I've increased the price recently to $19.99 on Amazon. On my website, it's still $17.99. That was a strategic decision. But imprinting them in China, you can still make money. If you are able to afford the bulk cost of printing all of these books at once, and printing a lot of books at once from China, you are still making more money than you would make printing them with Amazon, or printing them over here paperback.
Okay, so did you go through a publishing company?
No, I am the publishing company.
Okay. okay. And that's the, because I always ask that too, because there's some some ups and there's some downs when it comes to the publishing company, with publishing versus self-publishing, and we have a publishing company, but we're not the ordinary publishing company. And even if no one wants to go through us far as us actually publishing the book, we actually provide other means of editing. We do artwork, graphics, we do marketing. And even if they, and for people that actually don't want to go through a publishing company and want to learn things on their own like we did, we actually starting a well, we already have this service on the website, but I'm actually going to start another company outside of that, specifically dealing with consulting, called As I Learn, We All Learn Consulting. So those that are interested in learning how to write a book, how to organize the book, how to put a book together, how a book's supposed to look, what marketplaces provide which outlet or market you actually can go on, what would be the percentage from these different things. Also how to create a website, sell your own thing and get as much as your intellectual property, what software you need for certain things. So we're trying to create that, as
that's a lot of work. That's something that I plan to do as well. In the future, maybe like next year, after my next 2 books are out. I hope to do something like that to share with our community what has worked for me, what hasn't worked for me, and just giving everyone a blueprint to do what I have done.
Right. And that's definitely what we're trying to do, because we started all of this, like I said, last year. We 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're about 12 publications in within a year and a half. And we started last year. We started January of 2020. And from January of 2020 to present day, I think we're 13 publications in. We got another publication. We got actually 2 publications coming out. We got some people that we actually published their books that we're actually going to be introducing them to the world pretty soon. These people that that we're publishing. So that was my thing too. I just went and we went through, like, we had reached out to people. People always say, reach out, holler at me. And when we reach out to these people,
no one responds.
Nobody responds. It's crickets. So it was like, it was trial and error for us. So from the first book that we created, which was Spirit, God, we got, and the research books, all of our books, we have a spear in the name, and we use that for a specific reason. But what was this? Let me see, because I can't even remember. We got so many books out. Spears of the Mossy. Spears of the Mossy. So we went through trial and error with that one, and then we put out the second volume was from Spears the Pen. And through the process, we had to learn these things. We had to learn these things on our own. So most of this stuff, and I was upset with people at first that said that they will help and didn't help, but I appreciate it now. I'm kind of glad that they didn't help, because we had to actually get it ourselves. A phrase here we say in the States says we had to get it out the mud. So we got it out the mud ourselves, and through the process, we just learned all these things ourselves. So we want to share. That's the reason why we created this author's perspective, and not only just this author perspective, just now doing the As I Learn, We All Learn consulting company. We wanted to do that, so we're able to sit down and consult, and not only consult, but after December, I'm kind of going to calm down on doing anything on YouTube and streaming, because I got to finish one of my children books. I got to finish my expanded version of the Beautiful Lessons About Kimoyo book. And then we're going to, when we actually go live with the As I Learn, We All Learn consulting company, once you pay, you'll receive a book. So they'll have a book that they actually can go to when they can actually study, and it'll be like a guide. So if I'm not around, they can't get a hold of me. All they got to do is go to the guide, how you do this, how you do that. And they can just go in the section, in the content section and table of contents and look and go to that section and read and find, find out what exactly what they,
I
you
need
know,
to
what
check
they
out
need
your
to.
website. I'm gonna be buying your books for sure.
Okay.
I didn't know.
Yes, we got you. We got you. Um, and okay, so let me get back to my questions. Okay, so now, um, let's talk about your book. Um, in Zinga.
Njinga, yes.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Then we'll talk about the idol. So, what inspired you to actually write this book, and can you kind of explain, your children book for people that may be interested in getting the book? And I want to ask you some other questions behind that, which you already have. And the reason why I want to ask you some of these questions behind that is, um, you know, some of our brothers that's in they're in another group, right? And there's been some talk about Nzinga, and the talk about Nzinga has been negative, and I understand why. Because at times, like you saying with what you did, you want to make sure that you get everything right before you present it to the world, right? And a lot of times we can't just go and Google something real quick just to do a show. So we can't do that. That's not research, or that's not proper research methodology. So we are very strong over here with proper research methodology. So and with that, we know that there was no proper research methodology, and there was no historical context behind a lot of the things, and a lot of the stuff that they said, it kind of hurt my feelings in general, because I understand they were speaking out of ignorance because they didn't know certain things, and then they had certain tools that they actually could go to but did not go to actually read and come back and be honest with the people and give them historical context and give them things that is actually set in the historical record. But we'll talk about that. But can you, talk about what inspired you to create your children book about Nzinga?
Njinga. Okay, I was inspired by her story in learning that she not only fought against the Portuguese, she thought outside of the box. She was extremely, imparting my French, she was a boss lady. She gave them a hard time. And that is not the narrative that we always hear regarding colonization. With colonization, a lot of the narrative that we hear is that Africans opened up to the invaders with open arms, and they were a little bit more naive. And I
Mm-hmm.
liked this perspective that Njinga's story gives, which is that not everybody was not as naive. It's not everybody that just said, "Oh, come and take over our country, and come and give us your religion, and come and give us all that you are, and we're just going to give up." I liked that narrative, and I wanted to share her narrative with kids and with Africans all over the world. My version of the book starts off with Njinga as a kid. I play on the rivalry with her and her brother, which was true. I introduced the fact that her father loved her, which was true, and that she learned how to speak Portuguese because her father insisted that she go to school, which
Mm-hmm.
was true as well. And we also showed that her father introduced her to how to run a kingdom, even though her brother didn't like that. And eventually, when her father passes away, her brother becomes king, but he is not able to handle the Portuguese effectively. The Portuguese were invading the land at the time, and they needed somebody to be able to fight back. And her brother wasn't doing a good job. He eventually does call his sister back in because she knows how to speak the language, and
Mm-hmm.
she comes and she helps and she negotiates a treaty with the Portuguese, which
Mm-hmm.
they never really they didn't hold up to their end of the bargain. But she at the time negotiated a treaty. She had the famous scene where she is in the room and the Portuguese governor, the head of the Portuguese team, is trying to make her feel less than, and
Mm-hmm.
she defies him, and she thinks outside of the box, and she sits on the back of one of her servants, and she looks the Portuguese governor in the eye, and she is able to negotiate a treaty. I also introduce kids to the fact that because even after that treaty was negotiated, the Portuguese did not live up to their end of the bargain.
Mhm.
She had to leave her kingdom and she had to move to another kingdom called Matanba. And this boss lady became not only the queen of one kingdom, but the queen of two kingdoms.
Mhm.
Like, if you want to think about queens and if you want to look at somebody that you should look at the past and look up to, and somebody that was definitely a personality and not she wasn't sheep at all in any way, shape, or form. She is someone that I would want my kids to be able to quote, someone that I want them to know about. And that was why I wrote about her. To your point, she did have slaves, as all Africans did at the time. And she did some things that were questionable, which I don't mention in my book because I don't know how to explain that to kids. But I don't think that that aspect of her history is a reason why she should not be written about or why she should not be remembered. I think that we should leave it to people to make their own decisions. Everybody is entitled to their own opinions. In my opinion, you would never have an opinion about Njinga if you don't know about her. And my
Mhm.
goal is to ensure that as much people know about her as possible. And one of the sayings that I live on is that we can never our future depends on our understanding of the past. And so if we look in the past and we see something that's wrong, that could help us in making our decisions in the future. But if we never look at the past at all, then we don't even know where the problem started. So I think you might have a better grasp on what was or what was not. I'm not 100% sure on what the truth is. And that's one of my biggest things that I struggle with in writing an African history. There's so many different versions of the truth, and it's hard to get a strong grasp on what really was and what wasn't, and what is a smearing campaign against a once strong ruler.
Right, right. And and like I said, there were some things that were said by, and I because they are my brothers over there, but like I said, it was just some things that were said that, like I said, I just didn't appreciate with that because again, there was no historical context. And one of their things was they was saying so I stopped watching, but they were saying they wouldn't teach their kids about Nzinga. And Nzinga was a diplomat. She, and she was a strategic. She was a warrior. She was a leader. She was a queen. She was so many different
She
things. She
put
was
her people first. She did so much for her
right,
people. Yeah,
right. So
yeah.
she's a smart sister. And when we look through the historical records, like you mentioned about when she went, I think this was in 1622, when, like I said, she was a diplomat. So, and she, like you said, she learned Portuguese. So she went to, talk to the governor at that time of what they call it Angola, which we know Angola is a misinterpretation of the Portuguese because the word Angola, Ngola, is is the word um for chief or leader or and something else I can't remember, but they took that as they thought that was the name of that region. We know that name of that region was Ndongo, but you mentioned that when she arrived there to negotiate in their behalf, because, and again, going back to, because with them they left out so many things when we're dealing with the historical record, is that colonialism is an act of terrorism. Colonialism is like I said, is an act of violence. So those people who came in, they didn't talk about the act of terrorism when we mention colonialism. And when she come and she was trying to negotiate a treaty with foreigners who actually came into the land, and she was trying to make peace between the two, because we know with colonialism we have foreign people who come into a land that does not belong to them, take over their land, take over their government, script the community or the group of people that resides in that land of their culture, their traditions, their customs, their language, their way that they look at the world, their perspective, and so forth, and then afflict violence on them if they don't do what the foreigners who come in do. That's why I said it's an act of terrorism, an act of violence. So when and when you said the what's the name, and this was the thing. I'm just speaking on this because they did say something, with the servant, far as she's sitting on the back. That was some other things too. It was a thing of disrespect in her culture among the Ubuntu people. She wanted the same respect. This governor sitting in a chair and he puts a mat on the floor. This was a disrespect to her. And in the historical records, there's nothing in the historical records that says that she snapped her finger and told her servants to get over here and what's the name. When he automatically seen that there was some disrespect, between that the governor gave to them, to her, he immediately got down on all fours and got a chair where she was able to sit eye to eye with this governor. So I just wanted to clear that up. And even with the slavery part, there was no talk about, okay, this woman went to war for 40 years against the Portuguese. Then the Portuguese aligned themselves with the Jaga, or the people that they called the Mbungala. And these vigilantes that was there with the Portuguese, they in line. So she was fighting the Jaga and the Portuguese. And and then later on she aligned herself with the Dutch. And then the Dutch turned their back on them and aligned her. So now she's fighting the Portuguese and the Dutch people. But there's no, when we talk about slavery, like when you talk about most of the things, we talk about slavery. That's why I need to be a definition, a definition laid out there. Most of the time, we don't sensationalize Africa and say that everything was kumbaya, everything was great. There's no place on the earth where that it was great. And we understand. I fight with my mother. Sometimes I have a disagreement with my mother. I have a disagreement with my father. I have a disagreement with my wife. Family fights at times. You know what I'm saying? We have disagreements at times. So nobody, there was nothing that was talked about when we talk about that, where even when different ethnic groups within Africa fight within in others, they had prisoners of war, right? So with the prisoners of war that they had, those prisoners of war wasn't treated like we thinking about the Barbary Coast or the Sahara Coast slave trade, or even what we talk about the Atlantic Coast slave trade during the 15th century. Those people at that particular time, if my tribe fought against your tribe and we lost, we became prisoners of war, but we was able to roam around free. There was no shackles. There was no slop given to us. There was no beating of the back or beating us into submission in front of the whole community. We was able to intermarry with even me being a prisoner of war. I was able to marry, but I was also supposed to work a debt off. And once I worked that debt off as a prisoner of war, I can either go back home or I can still integrate within that community that I became a prisoner of war with. So those are two things. Those are two different things. But even within that, nobody is talking about the Portuguese. They bigged up the Portuguese. This is what shocked me with my brothers. They bigged up these Portuguese, but they did not talk about that. When you mentioned that, they didn't talk about the act of terrorism, the act of violence that was afflicted upon the Ubuntu people in the Ndongo. And then she, like you said, she went into Matanba, right? So she became a queen there. She came back. She was just only fighting for her independence. She was fighting for her people. She was fighting for her freedom. But nobody talk about how the Portuguese used this, like I said, the civil wars. We all fight amongst each other. Family fights amongst each other. So they instigated a lot of these things that took place, that transpired. They instigated and inlined themselves. I might have lived in Ndongo. You might have lived outside of Ndongo, south of Ndongo. So that kingdom that I had, we might have had a strife or a disagreement, and then they didn't talk about how they instigated, and then they aligned with me, the Portuguese, in line with one kingdom to instigate a fight with others to utilize it for enslavement. So these kingdoms would get these prisoners of war, and then these people was enslaved, sold as slaves, and the benefits of the Portuguese. But these guys was bigging up the Portuguese. This was crazy because they wasn't given any historical records. Historical context. So it's very important to give historical context. But I just wanted your point of view of Njinga being an enslaver, and then I wanted to kind of expound on it on a little bit, because and the things that actually transpired, and why some of the things that she did, that or some of the things that happened, was through the strifes between the civil wars and the Portuguese instigating these kingdoms to fight amongst each other, because they knew if they fight amongst each other and take prisoners of war, they can be able to take these prisoners of war and enslave them for their own benefits and for their own good. So like I said, people just don't give no historical context behind some of those things. But I can keep talking about Njinga, man. And,
I'm gonna say, I'm not gonna say what she did was great. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna make any excuses for all of her methods. I know what she was trying to accomplish. Maybe some of her methods were questionable.
Yeah.
But 100%, there is no way you can say that because some of her methods were questionable, she should not be remembered, or you should not talk to kids about her. How can you move forward if you just cover your eyes and you don't look at the past and you don't understand what happened or why it happened? Right. That I disagree with.
Right. And even with one thing that she did that I didn't particularly like as well, but I don't down her for it. I down her for all of the great things that she did, the great achievements she did on behalf of her people, because a lot of us can talk, but a lot of us wouldn't sacrifice our own selves or put our own selves on the front line for our people, and would even die for our own people. So I admire her for that as well. But with the Mbungala or the Jaga people, I didn't like but she was a smart lady. So everything she did was strategic, right? So I understand what she did, but I didn't like it. I really didn't like it for as the Jaga people or the Mbungala people. She ended up having relations with. That's how she ended up getting the Jaga of the Mbungala on her side. Because at first the Mbungala was on the Portuguese side. They was actually working for the Portuguese. So like I said, some of the methods I didn't like, but I knew everything that she did. It was strategic, and it was for a reason why she did it, because she had relationships with one of the head of the Jaga. The Jaga did, get on her side, at a particular time and help her out. But it did say, I didn't see a whole lot of it, but it did say that she kind of went with the ways of some of the Jaga of the Mbungala people and the Mbungala culture. Like a lot of those things within their culture, I kind of like disagree, especially when it deals with their young boys and some of the things that they did with their young boys, and what the young boys, if they didn't complete certain things, what they actually did to those boys, I didn't agree with. But she's someone to definitely to continue to ring her name out. She's an ancestor to me, and I'm saying she's an ancestor because I understand when we talk about African culture, one cannot be an ancestor without being an elder. And I understand what comes with being an elder is so many qualifications comes with that, and that is setting the right example. So she did set the right example for her people. She did try to leave her people in the right man. There's so many different things that she did to qualify herself once she transitioned to actually to become an ancestor and not an older. So when one becomes an ancestor, she must be revered. So we're going to continue to revere Njinga. Over here, we're going to continue to uplift Njinga. Over here, we're going to continue to speak Njinga's name. We're going to continue to tell the people, and exactly like what you're doing. I love what you're doing. You're telling the children about this wonderful woman that went to war for her own people and put her own life on the line because you had foreigners come in, setting up their own colonies, you know what I'm saying, and conflicting an act of terrorism, an act of violence among the people. And for that, I want to just say Majuba Iba Njinga, man, honor and praises to Njinga. So let's talk about, and I know I pronounced this other sister name wrong too, but you know, it's Ada. Which one is?
It's actually 3 syllables. Idia.
Oh, Idia. Okay, the I is okay. Idia. So, and I'm familiar with her. I couldn't find like a lot of information on her. Like maybe about 2 years ago. And I actually did a whole presentation on Njinga about 3 years ago. I did a whole presentation on Njinga. Then I came back. I did a whole presentation on the Jaga of the Mbungala people, just to let people know who these people were that was actually in line with the Portuguese. But and from that story, I started looking into other warriors, because in African culture, man, there was so many different women warriors who was actually fighting beside the men, if not fighting beside them, actually leading the charge. So, and she was one that I actually came across of. And I couldn't find like a whole lot of information.
I'm gonna interrupt you to answer Ini Harrod's question. Yes, what do I think about Njinga being taught to people's kids? I think that she should be taught to people's kids. I don't think that like I mentioned, some of her methods were questionable. But just because her methods were questionable doesn't mean that we should not teach about her. She's our ancestor. Her blood runs through us. She is African, and she made history. She did some things right, and she did some things wrong. Just because she did some things wrong doesn't mean that we should forget her. And I think we need to remember that our history and our people, we don't own the media. We don't have the same control over media and public image as other cultures do. Other cultures, they ride for their ancestors. They don't let what their ancestors did wrong to vilify them. If somebody was great, look at Columbus. It's only this year or the last few years that people have started to listen to some of the wrongs that Columbus did. But before we fought so hard against Columbus was a hero in spite of everything that he did. And to a lot of people, he is still a hero, because to them, he fought for them. He fought for those people. He didn't fight for us, but the people he fought for are riding for him. So I think that we should understand. I'm not saying we should forgive her, but we should not forget her. I'm not saying that she is someone that we should look up to, or we should do exactly what she did. But I don't think she is somebody that we should say that we are not teaching our kids about her because we don't understand what she did or why she did it. You didn't live at that time. And you don't even know whether some of what you are hearing is a smear campaign against the woman who fought against colonialism. You don't know if some of what you're hearing is truth or lies. Remember, a lot of what is written wasn't written by us, right? So you don't know if what is written was the truth or not. So that's my opinion regarding that.
Okay. All right. But yeah, let's talk about your second children book? What inspired you to write it, and kind of talk to us about the book?
Idia. Idia, I wrote about Idia because her mask, and I don't know if you have seen it, but her mask is everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The mask represents Pan-Africanism.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Idia mask right
Right.
here,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right there.
Right.
And I felt that a lot of people, though they use the mask to represent Pan Africanism, they didn't know the story of who this person was. A lot of people actually think that the person in that mask is a man. It's actually a woman warrior. And I wanted to introduce her story and put a story behind the mask. The book follows for Idia. There isn't a lot like Njinga. There isn't a lot about her childhood that is known. We do know that she was the mother to a king called Ekiuwa, and
Mm-hmm.
as mother, she was like Njinga. In a lot of ways, she was a little ruthless. She was very smart politically. She went to war as a man. We also know that she met the Oba and she became a queen. She wasn't born into royalty. She became a queen because the Oba saw her dancing. And
Mm-hmm.
that's really about it. We know that she was a ruthless mother to a king and that the Oba saw her dancing. And so I just weave the story about a young girl who likes to dance, but saw a woman warrior in a dream. And she decides that she wants to become a warrior. And her parents teach her what it means to be a warrior. Her mother teaches her about spirituality. We do know that Idia was very, very spiritual. In my book, I have her mother teaching her about spirituality, and she eventually does marry the Oba, and she goes into the Oba's palace. And I just use her story to teach kids to follow their dreams.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, it was wasn't like a lot of information, and even with the mask, I started to put the shirt on today um with the with her mask, a big mask on, and I got we might have been about 4 or 5 years ago. I thought it was a man too, about 4 or 5 years ago, and then when I actually started studying masses in Africa, and why did they wear Pacific masses for this time, who made the mask, and etc. That's when I kind of also got a little familiar with her story. But then after the Njinga thing, I kind of went back and tried to retrieve some more information. But at first, like I said, I thought it was a man too, and then I found out, even with the marks on her forehead. I know in African culture around the world, certain rites of passages have a scarification right, and different marks they may mark up their face, may mark up their body, and it is to identify them from different tribes and other different things to distinguish them from this, that, and the third. And I say it was their ID. It was their ID. Like we had they asked us, let me see your ID. So, this see who you are. So, but with those scarification marks on her her forehead, from what I'm reading, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And that's why I said I'm definitely gonna get your children book. I got the coloring book, but I feel like I can learn so much with your coloring book, just going through you're just looking through your coloring book and all the things that you got. You're teaching them certain words about the Edu language, and certain things with the culture, and then you're testing some of their knowledge within the book. And I said, man, this is great. So I know for me reading a while back here, I think it was she, as a child, she was married into royalty, right? And and she was a dancer, and she went out. I guess today had an event. Like I said, it's been a while since I read it, so I'm trying to remember exactly all the things that I read. But I think it was she was dancing at some type of event or festival for this young king, and the young king became interested in her. And I think, she wasn't sure about marrying him, and then I know that her parents called someone to come in, and he actually marked the scars on her face and rubbed some stuff in there. I can't. Am I right out? Because I said
You're
it's
right. You're right. You're right.
okay.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so there are two versions of why she did that. So version one is that she was trying to, because her parents knew that going into the Abba's palace, she wasn't the first wife of the Abba. She wasn't going to be the last wife of the Abba. She needed some ammunition to
Mm-hmm.
give her some strength while she was in there. And so they had this medicine doctor come and give her some spiritual strength. And he put
Mm-hmm.
some herbs into these marks that he put into her forehead to just make her stronger spiritually as she went into the Abba's palace, so that she would do well as an Abba's wife. And version two is that her parents didn't want her to marry the Abba, and they were trying to scar her and make her look not appealing, so that the Abba would change his mind about marrying her.
Oh
Which
wow. Okay. Now I ain't heard that, birds. Okay.
yes,
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And see and like I said, even within like what you said, with the Edu culture, like in certain parts of other Africa, women got scarification marks. Scarification marks
I
represent
have them
beauty.
too.
Huh? Okay, represents beauty. And men are attracted by women that has the scarification marks because those scarification marks represents beauty. And but yeah, so let me see what I got it with. So so what was some of your let's talk about what was some of your challenge what's some of your challenges being a writer, or what some of your challenges we were putting together your first two publications.
I think the biggest challenge is trying to make sure that I'm putting out there what is true, as well as what the tribe I'm writing about would agree with. And that I spend a lot of time, like with the Njinga book, it was originally spelt the way that everybody spells this,
Mm,
which is with a Z.
right.
But I consulted with some of the Angolans, and they tell me that they spell her name with a J.
Mm-hmm.
And so last minute, I had to go and change it and spell it with the J, because I want to make sure that I'm giving their stories as accurately and the way that they would say it as possible. That's one of my biggest challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like you said, the learning. You just think, and there was a time when you just wrote, you go into a quiet place, sitting before the water, and you write. And then you give your book to the publisher, and then you're done, and you wait for all of your awards to come in. But that's not the way it is with self-publishing. You
Yeah.
have to learn how you become a web developer. You become I'm doing Photoshop stuff. I'm creating content. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of work. It's a lot of fun, but it is a lot of work. What else is challenging? Getting yourself out there, the visibility. You spend all of this time writing which would creating your babies, and you love your babies, and you want to get as many people to you want to get as many eyes on your babies as possible, and so that is a challenge as well. But
Right.
I'm grateful for people like you who bring me on to share, spread the word, and if we all share and if we all support each other, then we can get the visibility on the work that we're doing.
Right. Um, yeah, and it's definitely a lot of work. I tell you, it's a lot of work. I just with one of the guys' book that we finished, I was telling him, man, it still ain't done. We completed, we did everything, but now it's on you. It's some work you have to do. So it's a lot
Yeah,
of work.
writing, I think writing the book and completing the book is 30% of the work.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Selling the book is 70% of the
Yep.
work. It's
Yep.
that's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work. Um, so and I ask everybody this, and after coming up with your ideas, writing chapters, editing, putting the book together, publishing it, what did you learn about yourself?
um, I think in doing this, I wasn't looking around me. I was looking at my target. I was looking at the what I wanted to create. I didn't stop and look back as to where I had started and where I am now. It took me a while to do that. It was, I think, after Njinga had come out that I looked at my first version of the Idia book and to what I have now. I think I'm pretty impressed. I learned that I'm quite, I don't know. I don't want to big up myself too much, but I did learn that um, my perfectionism is a bit of a good thing. I've always been a bit of a perfectionist, and that I always thought it was a bad thing, but it's not always a bad thing, especially when you're creating something that's going to last forever. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Taking your time and doing it properly is not too bad of a thing.
Mm. Ain't nothing wrong with bigging yourself up, man. I mean, because I do it because, like I'm saying, it's a lot of work that
It
goes into it, and to put the work in, and or start off with an ideal, then take that ideal and then create it where you actually can touch it and people actually can see it, man, is a great accomplishment. So you have two children books and two learning coloring books out, man. So that's a great achievement within itself. So it's nothing wrong with bigging yourself up, man, because we do it all the time because it's a lot of work. But I like it, and we
Mhm.
we we all love it because this is something that we want to do. We want to continue to share information with other. We want to get this information out about, you know, um, our culture, the accurate information out about our culture, our tradition, about our people, because there's a lot of people out here want to know exactly. Okay, I know we come from Africa, but what they did, and a lot, and here in the United States, our school system doesn't teach um our children about who they are and where they come from. They're taught about other people that doesn't look like them greatness. So people like us have to be able to step up and fill that void and say, hey, look, this is what our people did. These are the major contributions that our people made. And even with some of these major contributions that our people made, some of the people that y'all actually learning about are Pythagoras and the Euclid and Thales. A lot of these guys study from people that look just like you, but they don't tell you exactly where these keep they studied and got their ideals and their concepts and their knowledge from. So so I appreciate people like you as well as myself and the groups that I'm associated with is actually trying to put this information out here and be honest as possible and accurate as possible with getting this information out to our people and especially our children, because our children definitely need it. And I'm saying they need it because they need that um that high self-esteem, because most of the people here, and I'm speaking here in the United States, a lot of our kids drop out of school and they begin to achieve low self-esteem because they're not learning nothing about themselves. And if they do learn something about themselves, it's painted in a negative light. So like I said again, I appreciate the work that you're doing. This is my last question, and we this will end the interview. Can you give any advice to up and coming writers?
Though Kofi and I have been talking about how much work it is to get a book out, it's not rocket science. You can do it, and you need to do it because, um, like Kofi has said, and his academy and his group that do all of the work, they've come to realize that you don't need to. You can learn about history by yourself, and you would sometimes learn in doing. Like even when I've done it, I've learned that some of the work that you see in all of these scholarly papers, it's not correct. You can contribute to history. You don't need those three letters behind your name to
Hmm.
contribute to Africa's story. In you doing what you're doing, you would find that everybody else that you have sort of looked at is, oh, wow, I cannot be like them. What they did, you can do it too. Um, just take it one step at a time, We need more of our voices in books that we are reading, and just do it.
Right. Just and to see and most of the authors that I interview, that be, you know, the last statement or the beginning of the statement that they make is just do it. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta do, you know, once you start, you're gonna complete. For the most part, most people are gonna complete it, but the first step is just do it. Just do it. And like I said, we didn't think we was gonna we done read tons of books, tons and tons and tons of books, and we never thought we would be able to do it until we just did it. We just did it, and you know, now we have multiple publications out. So again, I want to appreciate you for allowing me to interview you. I appreciate you sharing some of your time with me and some of the listening audience, because you could have been doing anything else, or you could have told me no. But I appreciate you. And actually, any Harriet Sean Calfunny, who is also a member of Kofi Piesie research team and Masi Warrior Clan, we both are in the same group, and the Seshuma ID Meta Nature. We're in 3 groups together. And he is one of and he's one of the founders of our publishing company, Same Tree Different Branch Publishing. He is actually the one who put me on you. He actually, we talk every day. So we talk every day. Kofi Piesie research team and Monster Warrior Clan. We just not a social media group, or we not just come on YouTube or we're on Facebook or Instagram. We actually a family. So we talk every day. So he put in the chat and an image of you holding both of these books up. He said, Kofi, I think you need an interview. So I immediately clicked and went to your page, and then I immediately clicked and went to your website. And I said, I reached out to you immediately. You responded, you know, in a timely manner, and you was like, sure, you know, and we worked it out, and we got here. I said, I'm gonna definitely get, even if you didn't go, you know, I didn't interview, I still was gonna purchase your book. I'm all about supporting black authors. So and that's what we need to do. We need to support, need to continue to support each other. We need to continue to big up each other. So like I said, Sean was the one that actually put me on you. So for people out there that may want to purchase your coloring books and your 2 children books, can you give them the information? And if anybody else want to reach you, can you give them that information as well?
Yes, you can buy my books, both books on my website, as well as the coloring books. Everything is on my website. I actually have a promo going on right now. The book is $17.99 on my website, but if you get both books, like these 2 hardcover books, and you use the promo code TAKE10, you get 10% off of $17.99, which is the cheapest you would get it anywhere. And if you get all 4 books, which is the hardcover books as well as the coloring books, and you use the promo code TAKE15, you get 15% off and free shipping on my website.
Okay. And
www.our-ancestries.com. Can you type that out? I don't know how.
Yeah, when I end the live feed, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna edit the description, because I got all our books in the description. But when I go back and edit it, I will definitely put both, where your 2 books, your coloring books, and I'll put the link by there, so they can come over here and direct it. And then when I get off of here, I'm gonna go back and edit on my Facebook page the link, if anybody interested in purchasing the book and looking at this this wonderful interview that we did. So again, like I said, I appreciate you. I will be, like I said, I got the coloring book, I got the hard copy of the Njinga. I got to go get Ada's hard copy, and then I'm gonna get a Njinga coloring book. I'll probably do that either later on tonight, order tomorrow. And those who are interested again in ordering, don't go to anywhere else, but go to her website and buy her book directly from her. Again, patronize the authors. I say this so much, I ended up having to create a hat and a shirt and some clothing to represent this. I just love creating brands so people understand, if you want to support us, buy directly from us. You want us to have as much money as possible for our intellectual property, but we won't have to split, these terrible splits with these other marketplaces. But it's also good for other people. It's also good to have them on these other marketplaces as well, especially if people can't able to directly get, because I know I can't ship out. Like, I just had to send a book refund 2 books because they was outside of the United States, so I couldn't do it. But we also publish outside, where we get them in England and some other places. But all of
Are
other
you
books,
in Canada?
I don't know if it's in. I don't think. I'm gonna have to go back and look, because every week we have. I'm connected to a global network. So with the global network that we're connected to, my publishing company connected to, every week or every 2 weeks they put me on a different market. And some places that I didn't even think that I would be able to get in, I'm in. So I know we like in a bunch of places in the UK, and I know we everywhere over here in the United States. Anybody that has we're big marketplaces, like and store chains, we're there. But I don't know about Canada. I have to look, and we may be in Canada now. Matter of fact, when I get out here and look, but my children, but the coloring book, let me get it here again. But the coloring book that we just put out, Spirit Masters Institution, coloring book 1, I didn't put it on the global network yet. And the only way that they able to get it is through our publishing company. And I just actually not through our publishing company and through Lulu. Now, Lulu is another marketplace. Yeah. So we just put it on Lulu. So I'm finna eventually start taking it from Lulu to Amazon to Target to all these other different places. But I did that for a reason, because a lot of times when we do that, a lot of people got the books
for free.
And I'm like, why y'all didn't? Huh?
Where's my money?
Right. Why you just didn't go through why you just didn't, we build a website, house the book, because I got books stored everywhere. So we're able to ship the books out. And I like doing this. So, and I like shipping the books out. I like to go to the website. I get a notification. I like to go and see what book they done purchased. I like to go and take out my stuff and package the book in, write it down. I love going to the post office. Some people don't like doing it, but I love doing it. And I like to see the people who purchase, and even the people that purchase, they'll tell you that I reach out to them. I call them out of the blue. That's why I ask when they go on, fill out the information, your email address, your phone number. And a lot of times I just won't email. I'll just call personally and let them know I appreciate you for purchasing the book, or purchasing our book and believing in us for purchasing the book, because they could have took their money and did anything else with it, but they took their money, believed in what we had, and they purchased a book. So I give them a call and tell them I greatly, greatly appreciate it. A lot of them be shocked when I call, but I just have to show my appreciation when I do that. But I'll definitely check and see if it's in the Canada area. But I think I may be able to ship though to Canada myself personally. I just knew I had somebody had bought one in Germany, and it was another place that they bought that I wasn't able to ship. And then one of Sean's book, it was in the UK, but I figured out why his book wasn't in the UK, because our stuff is also published in the UK, because Brother Fitz on here now, he had to go through Amazon to actually get the book. And he tried to buy it directly from us, but it was an issue on the other end that I had to go back and fix on the global network. So now people that want to get it out in that area, that it's available to them, they can, and we can get it out there. But again, like I said, I appreciate you again. Appreciate those who watched in the stayed the duration of the time and watched the complete interview. Also, I appreciate those who may come in here later on and watch the video in the interview in the archive. I said ETM Hotep in the beginning. ETM Hotep just means bring forth peace. So now I'm going to say Shemim Hotep. Shemim Hotep just means to depart in peace. Peace and Black African power. We'll see you next week. I know I slowed down. I'm going to pick back up, because I'm going to pick it back up and start giving y'all back 2 or 3 shows. I know I took a break last week, but I'm going to pick it back up, start giving y'all back 3 shows a week. And at the beginning of the year, I'm gonna take a break because I got some other stuff that I'm working on. Business is picking up, so I need a break from that. I need to complete some things. I need to complete some stuff for some of our clients as well. So appreciate y'all for listening. Um, and we out of here. I'll leave you again with Oba Femini track, and I will be interviewing this brother on the for Force. Supposed to did it a couple of weeks ago, but wasn't able to do it. Work out our schedule. Our schedule kind of conflicted with each other, and then we tried to work it out, and it still wasn't able to work it out. So I'll be having that brother on here on December the 4th if everything else goes well. So we out of here, and we'll see y'all next time. Thank y'all for listening.
It's over. Yeah. Overfitted, man. You know it. It's so. Shout out to United Front. Yeah. Hey. Hey. Cognitive dissonance, colonized indigenous minds, bodies, innocence, European participants, Jesus no deliverance, rebellion with militants, culturally different, rape, murder incidents, justice no equivalence, lyrical abolitionists, ancestral reverence, soul music the resonance, mind sharp like elephants, melanin glow, elegance, imperial pestilence, governmental negligence, miracle black excellence, manipulate the elements, formulate with eloquence, bars of social relevance, unite the snakes decadence, African-centered preference, my people set the precedence, MCE the delegates, go and check the references, get it out the sediment, evaporate impediments, this that shit excrement, our story indefinite, saying cover by increments, body temple instrument, tuned into the infinite, over.
All right.